Good evening. It is 7 o'clock, Monday, June 11th. I call this first meeting of June to order. My name is Jeff Matthews. I'm president of the Speedway Town Council. I'd like to welcome all of you here this evening, and I'd also like to introduce those that are joining me this evening as well. To my far right, Councilor Eileen Fisher.
Good evening.
Councilor Jason Delisle.
Good evening.
Vice President David Lindsay.
Good evening.
Councilor Gary Rakes.
Go Lady Spark Plugs.
Town Manager Jacob Blaisdell.
Good evening, Speedway.
Clerk Treasurer Monty Combs.
Good evening.
Town Attorney Bob Clutter.
Howdy do.
Our agenda has been posted. We will be following that this evening. First on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance, and we would like the Speedway High School softball team to come up and give us the Pledge of Allegiance. Come on up.
Just get us started.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, don't go anywhere.
No, stay there.
Treat the podium like a trophy. You guys know how to do that well.
Dog pile.
We're welcoming the state champion, Lady Spark Plugs, this evening. I think, David Lindsay, you've got something that you'd like to...
Where's Coach? Coleman. Coach, come up to the front. All right. Let me read this to everybody here. It says, whereas the 2018 Speedway High School softball team defeated Bremen High School to win the Class 2A IHSAA State Softball Championship on Saturday, June 9th, 2018. And whereas the 2018 Speedway High School softball team members are Riley Wade, Nikki Ray, Paige Rush, Emma DeVault, Rachel Gregory, Brooke Hartman, Lane Hooper, Katie Indries, Josie Fry, Kate Turnquist, Lexi Laffin, Madison Golden, Kylie Mann, Hannah Lindsay, Jackie Eversole, Kaya Fenters, Madison Barnes, Alexa Faulkner, Kendall Short, Molly Griner, and Cole Hooper, manager. Whereas the team has been led by head coach Alyssa Coleman and assistants Carl Fenters and Katie Gregory, and whereas the Lady Spark Plugs finished the season with a 22-6-1 record, winning the final 13 games of the season, including shutout wins in the final 4 games of the season, and whereas the Lady Spark Plugs rallied the entire town of Speedway behind them, wearing freshly made Speedway gold t-shirts, and whereas senior Riley Wade won the 2018 IHSAA Class 2A Mental Attitude Award, granting a $1,000 scholarship to Speedway High School. Now therefore be it resolved that the Speedway Town Council does hereby proclaim the 11th day of June 2018 as Speedway Lady Spark Plugs Softball Champions Day. So adopted this 11th day of June 2018 by the Speedway Town Council.
Jeff,
Thanks, guys.
you step over there. Get them all in there.
You guys.
There you go. Got a couple of those. That's good.
All right.
Very nice. And don't go anywhere.
That's official.
Obviously, it's
I'll post it.
Go ahead.
So, Coach, we know you've been interviewed like 1,000 times, so can you give us a little background for those that don't know, although everybody knows the story of the season, and just a little about the great season you've had? And
I would say they've had a wonderful season because they're so accepting of each other. Without a doubt, I think if you come to a game, you'll notice how much they enjoy each other. And that's kind of hard to do with teenagers. And that's totally on the part of the seniors and everyone that's on the team. Even when they did poorly, we still loved them. So we got them through it. And they just figured it out. I mean, they worked as a team.
Nice.
Excellent.
So You have some seniors there, they want to step forward
I think
maybe?
Riley has something to say. Yeah, if you have.
Let's make sure she has a good attitude about that. No.
Hey.
What are your thoughts on the season?
What are my thoughts?
Yeah, how do you think you guys did it?
Well, it was definitely the most enjoyable season that we've been a part of. This team just gels together better than any team I've ever been a part of. We're best friends on and off the field. They all just get along, and we're just really accepting of each other, and that's what helps make us so successful.
That's awesome.
And I'm going to say this later, but the fire chief, police chief, and assistant chief are here. I want to thank them, and I'm sure the
Thank
girls
you
want to
very
too.
much.
And so everyone knows, Chief Fishburne called me last Thursday and said, hey, we want to be a part when they win the state championship. I want to drive. Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Chief and Assistant Chief, thank you for your troops and the help that they did. It was great. And the girls I know loved it. So, and I have one more idea. Can all the girls come up here? We'll face that way so parents can get some photos. Is that a good idea?
Good idea.
Stand behind her.
Yeah. Hey, girls, step back all the way here. All the way? Yeah, in the line.
Go to the light.
You have nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, I wonder who did that.
Represented the town really well.
Stand on your toes back row. Except you.
Do that sorority squat.
Yeah, hand lean, you want to lean forward. Lean forward.
Hey, Jake, what's up?
Yep. Gotcha.
So look at the exit sign, ladies. Just look at the exit sign, and we'll count to 3. 1, 2, 3.
All right.
One more. Look at the exit sign. Look at the exit sign.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Oh, gosh.
Thanks
Thank
again.
you.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
I think we're going to take a minute here to let the softball players and their folks exit. If you stand by for just about 20 seconds.
Thank you. Did you get that back? No. Hey, listen. We want to frame that.
Yeah, we're going to
So
frame
you
it
mind
for
if we do that? And then it'll go in a case better that way.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Joe crying in the stands.
There's a few of you.
Yeah, Joe. We all were.
He was on top of the dugout.
There may be a
He
picture
and
of that.
the announcer had to tell him to get off the dugout. Like after they won.
Yeah, okay. Can't ever take that away from you.
Look at the empty sign.
First ever.
And that was.
Wow, it's very neat. Took away the standing room only.
Now the crowd's gone.
All right. Thank you very much. Moving right along. That was the best part of the meeting, actually. But item number 2, minutes. The approval of town council minutes dated May 14th, 2018. Any changes, questions? Hearing none, those will be approved as presented. Item number 3, approval of the joint executive session on May 31st, 2018.
I wasn't at that meeting. Can we hold that till next meeting?
Yes.
We can.
Please? Thank you.
So we will table
Get some
the
of that
approval of the joint executive session minutes. Item number 4, request for alley closure for yard sale at Speedway Christian Church on Saturday, June 16th. Come on up.
I'm Teresa Gorell, and I'm here to represent Speedway Christian Church, and we are having a yard sale in the parking lot on Saturday, and we would just like to be able to close off the alley right in back of the church so we don't have cars going past when there's a lot of people, hopefully a lot of people in the parking lot. So they would still have access to Allison Street. if they
What time frame are you looking at?
8 to 4.
8 to 4.
I move that we approve the request for the alley closure for Speedway Christian Church as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to close the alley behind Speedway Christian Church for their yard sale on June 16th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Are there any questions from the audience? Any additional questions from council? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 5, request for alley closure for the OSCNA block party on June 23rd.
Hi, I'm Gillian Fletcher. I'm the 2018 president, and with me is
Beverly Cantor Henry, the treasurer for Old Speedway Neighborhood Association, and we're requesting the alley behind Barbecue and Bourbon over to 14th Street to be closed. We're having, Barbecue and Bourbon's having a barbecue contest, and then we're having our neighborhood block party in their parking lot. So we just like the alley to be closed for safe for kids and families to get together.
the time would be from 11 to 7.
On June 23rd.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we approve the request for the alley closure for Asna on June 23rd, as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the request for alley closure for the Old Speedway Neighborhood Association block party. Are there any questions from the audience? Any questions from council? Hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Passes 5-0.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Good luck.
And you guys are invited.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 6, Resolution 2018-07, a resolution expressing interest in the purchase of real estate, property, and appointing appraisers. Jacob?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So this is a resolution that we're asking for council's approval on that would publicly express interest in acquiring what is currently a PNC branch at the intersection of Crawfordsville and Lyndhurst, commonly known as 5300 Crawfordsville Road. It is a property that I know a lot of folks have suggested would potentially be a great place for the town to acquire for the purposes of a town hall and some other purposes. This resolution is, I want to clarify, a very early step in that process. This does not mean that we would submit a bid to purchase it. It doesn't guarantee anything. It's just, like I said, a very early step in the process, but a necessary legal step before we would really move forward and start doing some more in-depth due diligence on whether or not this makes sense for the town. So again, would ask for your approval for this so we can kind of continue the process and evaluating whether or not it's an option that makes sense for us.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2018-07.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Resolution 2018-07. Are there any questions from the audience? Any questions from council? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes 5-0. Item number 7, Resolution 2018-08, a resolution authorizing application submission and local match commitment. Jacob.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we are, as we mentioned at the last meeting, applying again for a wastewater grant through Okra. This is the second time we've heard it on this second time applying for this particular grant, so I think we've just discussed ad nauseum this grant and what it means, but for those that are just tuning in, we are looking at making several improvements to the wastewater plant. There's some microfilters, there's some buildings that need work, there's some above-ground clarifier tanks that need a lot of rehab. So we are applying for the grant and do need your support on this resolution. And then I would like to make a quick amendment to the agenda here. After this, we would like to hold a public hearing for this grant application.
Mr. President, I move that we approve Resolution 2018-08 as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Resolution 2018-08. Before we vote on, we'll open this up for the public hearing at 7:15. If you'd like to come up and state your name. Go ahead.
Sure. Mike Kleinpeter with Kleinpeter Consulting Group. OCRA requires I read just a couple bullet points for our application. So the purpose of the hearing tonight is to discuss the town's application for grant funding through the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs. We're applying specifically for a wastewater drinking water grant in the amount of $500,000. The town will be contributing a local match of $478,000 from the Wastewater Depreciation Fund. We submitted our proposal on Friday, May 23rd. OCRA reviewed our proposal and are conducting a site visit on June 14th. Our application is due July 20th. We want to make sure that citizens of the town are fully informed and have the opportunity to voice any concern or support for the project and ask any questions they may have. Funds available for the wastewater drinking water program through OCRA are limited, and applications are very competitive. If the community is successful with their application, award announcements will be on August 16th. Jacob already told you a little bit about the project, so we'll do public comment.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing at 7:17 and call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Passes 5-0. Item number 8, approval of claims and utility adjustments, and the clerk treasurer's report. Monty?
Thank you, Mr. President. Submitted you quite a list of claims for this period, considering we haven't met in a month. So this runs from May the 12th through June the 8th. Business as usual, but fairly thick in a number of dollars, so appreciate your approval.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we approve the claims as presented by our clerk treasurer.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to approve the claims as presented by clerk treasurer. Are there any comments from the audience? Any from council? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes 5-0. Monty?
Utility adjustments, again, a longer period of time that were put before you, from May the 12th through June the 8th. A little larger, one in particular on page 1. That happened to be, unfortunately, for a snowbird who left and something broke below and ran for quite some time. So it was a pretty heavy adjustment for them. They did end up paying a pretty healthy water bill to us as well, unfortunately, in the repair. But would appreciate your approval.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the adjustments presented to us by clerk treasurer.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the utility adjustments as presented by clerk treasurer Monty Combs. Are there any questions from the audience? Any from council? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes 5-0. Monty?
Just real quick on the, during the month of May, on permits that we issued, race permits totaled about $37,400. The number was actually one more than last year, which is obviously after 2016 when we set records with it. But there were 215 of those, and we still have some billing to do to IMS, et cetera, so we should be pretty close to being able to pay for the overtime, particularly that the police and fire and all the other employees had to do to keep that in a positive way. So just wanted you to be aware of that. That's all.
Thank you, Monty. Item number 9, report from department supervisors. First up, Tim Gropp, Economic Development.
Good evening, Council. Just really quickly, we continue to make progress evaluating the best options for out on 2500 High School Road, northwest corner of Crawfordsville and High School Road. We're hoping to have a public input session to kind of unveil what we've learned about the site, engineering scope, everything else. We haven't set that yet, but we'll make sure we get that information out as soon as possible. Hopefully sometime here in early July would be best. Beyond that, progress still continues to go with the Brixmar project. It still looks like, while some of the signage has gone up, it still looks like it'll probably be sometime in July when they all open up, so we're excited about that as well.
Any questions?
That was short.
It was short.
Chief was pushing me,
Anything
so.
Oh, they're telling you.
money.
I see how this works.
Question? Thank you.
All right, thanks, Tim. Next up, Police Chief Jim Campbell.
Good evening. You know, it's tough to follow the girls softball team and talk about the 500, but two words that probably sum the 500 up this year. One was traffic and two was heat. You know, and I think as 500s go, you know, it was successful. You know, the track says we had over 300,000 folks again this time. And I think, you know, sometimes people forget, for us and fire and the other town services, it's the whole month. You know, it's a long month, and I just want to commend the officers that obviously spend their time there, town employees as well, and also the citizens. You know, it's a trying time in a lot of ways, but a very good time for the town of Speedway. You know, we did do something this year with the use of dogs that we've not done in the past. You know, some of you may have seen or read, but, you know, we continue the effort of trying to do as much as you can to avert issues. You know, in my line of work, you do one of two things. You either prevent it or you respond to it. And I think anytime we can make an effort that helps prevent an issue, we probably had 60 dogs from all over, you know, not only the other agencies in the area. We had federal assets, and I think, you know, from the standpoint of the image that it created, you know, it lets people know that we're serious about their safety. You know, I will say again, this is a Tier 2 event. This is considered a very high-profile event, you know, by the federal government, and to that end, we have the best cooperation you could get. But it does take local, state, and federal agencies to kind of come together and make this happen. And usually it goes so well that people sometimes forget, you know, what it does do to put this together. We did have one fatality that most of you saw on the news. We still haven't determined the cause of that. But again, you had 300,000 people, which, you know, is the second largest city in the state when you look at the number of people that were here. My next one is, we had our first meeting today of our police commission. You know, we welcomed Ken Hall to that commission, and, you know, I thank you for allowing him to be one of our commissioners. I think it'll be a great addition. Lastly, Citizens Academy. You know, the applications for that you can do on file on the computer. It'll probably start end of August. I would encourage anybody that, you know, has any interest, please sign up, and hopefully we'll have another Citizens Academy. That's it.
Any questions?
I just want to make a comment. I thought it was a very successful month of May. Through Jacob, you sent us reports on activities, and I haven't seen a comparison on paper, but just doing this a few years, it seems to me we had a lot fewer issues, incidents, et cetera, and I think it speaks to the preparation and planning that you and Chief Fishburne and the whole safety administration.
You know, I think Saturday night in Lot 1C, we made 8 arrests.
It's amazing.
I came from a time period where each agency made 150. Race day, we made 6. My rule is you got to be drunk and stupid. So evidently 6 people met that criteria and went to jail. And I know Bob will cover the medical part, but they did an outstanding job responding. Over the years at the track, we've taken 400 people to the medical center. Our federal friends are amazed when you say that. Any other event, that'd be a disaster. Thanks to the folks over there and, the people from the medical field that, you load them on a bus, hydrate them, send them back out to do whatever they were doing before they came to the bus. But and I think that's amazing. Like I said earlier, sometimes people forget 300,000 of your closest friends and it's a big day.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Next up, Fire Chief Bob Fishburne.
Thank you, Council. I won't reiterate all of that, but I agree with everything Jim said. I think Jim would agree that this year we probably had the best medical group in a long time cooperatively. AMR came on board this year. They spent a lot of money on technology, knowing that they were going to lose money this year, but make it up in year 2, 3, and 4 of their contract with the Motor Speedway. Jim's in the law enforcement business and I'm in the fire business, and this year we actually had players who stepped up to take over the EMS business. IEMS, Indianapolis, EMS did a great job, and of course we support that. IEMS actually sent a commendation to the group that was in the North Branch. Some of that law enforcement and some of that were my guys, like our North Branch, because there was this big party within the event, up in the third turn, concert, all of those fun things, and getting 30,000 people who sometimes meet both criteria, but we can't get in there to arrest them. We do want to keep them safe. And I think this year, Jim Campbell's probably a pretty good, taker of the temperature over there. He has spent a few days there in his life. Through lots of different administrations, and I think he said about 400 was a record as far as he knew, and this year they went a little over 400 with medical runs. But like he said, the Infield Medical Center, IEMS, AMR, and then our partners, one of our captains, Captain Ray, and Decatur Township Battalion Chief were able to start setting up. IMS got involved. But our medical partners came to the unified command table, checked with Jim, checked with IMS. So they did a great job too, and that's a 4-year contract with AMR, who's, to get all of those entities to work together, that's a IU facility that allowed AMR, which is based out of St. V, they work together and they get through those processes. So,
Chief, just a question. So my understanding it was the warmest, if not one of the warmest.
I think
second
50,
warmest,
57. Yeah,
so
it was
how much of an
second.
impact did that have on those 400?
Oh, significant.
Versus a traditional, normal year?
Significant. It's like Jim said, you could arrest people all day. That's not the
The goal.
That's not the goal. So the cooling buses did a great job of getting people. And as a matter of fact, Jim was like, we don't want to transport these people out of here because they don't want to leave. We transport people that don't want to leave. Number one, they get in a city that they have no one to pick them up. What do you do with them, And so having those minds being able to think together. But yeah, the heat was a significant factor in it, and we knew early on, so they had made preparations for. Andrew Bowes was sat at the command table with Chuck for that EMS phase and was able to communicate those things. So yeah, it was very good. I know I missed last month's meeting, and that was because we had a graduation of 2 of our candidates who are now, out fighting fire and taking care of the people of Speedway and Marion County. We're also in the process of reevaluating and revalidating our WPE, which is our work performance evaluation that we always do right after our annual physicals. We're doing some more work-specific things. Wayne Township kind of evaluated. They're getting props that are more job-related for our work performance. It's not to ding people, it's to have them do something that is specific to their job and evaluate where they are as far as their physical stature, and it's a timed thing. We do it every year, and knock on wood, all of our guys have always passed the WPE. So as a part of that, we're sending another one of our firefighters. Fishers is hosting a peer fitness evaluator class, which is a week-long, pretty rigorous curriculum, so that we'll have 2 peer fitness evaluators now, Captain Lakes and Private Ferguson. Private Ferguson's the one that's going to be taking that class. Found out today that we received a grant from Marathon. Got a call, so they're going to be presenting that check. And it actually came off of the exercise that we did back in the late fall. We had invited the other Marion County players who would be on an incident of that size. We discovered some places where we needed some specific equipment, and so we applied for a grant to get that, and it'll help us in other industrial, Heritage, Praxair, Allison. So it's equipment that we can buy with those monies. We're going to, receive that check and take a picture and give them some PR for that, but it is, it's right at $4,900. So, every little bit helps. In closing, I do want to congratulate the girls softball team. My kids were involved in sports, and so I know the commitment it takes to get there, the coaching it takes to get there, the hard work it takes to get there, and the parents' support. But in a town like Speedway, the great thing is the community kind of gets on that bandwagon. And, I know there were people at that game Saturday who hadn't seen another game all year, but that's what's unique about a small town. They get behind something like that, and it's just really, we've won 2 state championships in the town. One in boys basketball and now girls softball. They don't come along every day, so just congratulations to everyone involved in that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Last up, but certainly not least, Parks and Recreation, Tammy Smith. Oh, sorry. Norm, I'll let you go first. We're going to leave the... Oh, no. Wastewater Superintendent, Norm Berry. How did I forget you?
He was hiding.
He
At least
was.
I'm glad you said wastewater superintendent. I'm hearing assistant public works director and all kinds of stuff back here.
It's a rough crowd. Tough crowd.
I'm filling in for Wendell this evening, so sit back and relax. He's giving me about a half an hour worth of material here.
Are there slides?
No slides.
No? Okay.
No slides. Give you an update on the public works departments as far as projects. The B&O Trail project is currently ongoing, and the next phase will be the section between Lyndhurst and Auburn. And that project has a completion schedule of September, so hoping to have that completed by September. The 2018 paving project is currently in punch list items. Those are being addressed at this time. 15th Street Alley Drainage Project. That project's been completed. That's where we were trying to fix some of the drainage elevations on that alley between Lyndhurst and Auburn. That's all completed. Put in a new storm drain, new piping, and it seems to be working fine. Lane striping at High School and Crawfordsville Road. I believe a question was asked about that recently. And that has apparently been added to an DPW project. I don't have any notes here of when that project's to start, but it is to be addressed. Another project's getting ready to start. MCI is going to be doing a fiber project. That is to start sometime this month, and it'll run from 30th Street south down to Moeller, and it'll run from Moeller to 26th Street over to Lyndhurst and down to 25th Street and 22nd Street. So it's a major project. They're installing new fiber apparently, and it'll be about a 60-day project. Start sometime this month. Another project, the last one, this one's stormwater related. Something we've been working on for quite some time, but storm drainage project will be starting at Heritage Crystal Clean at 10th and Holt. They're going to be putting in some new storm drainage on their property with some new stormwater BMP treatment units. Hopefully this is going to solve some of those drainage issues and spill issues that we've had down there in that area in the past. And that project is supposed to start this week. Other than on the street department, they're doing their regular general maintenance. Onto the water department, the Meadowwood Tower tank is down now. They installed a 16-inch line stop on there, so the tower's been drained. And it's on schedule to get painted. And that project is to last until August. As far as race time, they didn't report any problems, said that everything went okay with the race as far as meeting demand. And then just taking care of normal daily operations. As far as the wastewater plant goes, we continue our phosphorus trial testing. The first phase went pretty well. What that amounts to is we have a new phosphorus limit that will go into effect, so we're trying to find the best chemical to use in order to meet those new limits. The chemical we just tested worked well. It did get us down to the limit we're supposed to be at. And now we're testing the second chemical to see if it works better, maybe less expensive. And that trial will probably go on for the next month. As far as race time, we had our typical interesting experiences. The flows more than doubled on race day at one time. I mean, our normal flows on Sunday is around 5.5 million, and it got at one time up to 12. And of course, there's no other way to describe it. You have to talk about ammonia. It's critical. My chief operator, Greg Hummel, worked through the day again, doing the best he could, monitoring the plant, taking tests, rerouting flows, which 2 weeks before the race, we were even trying to prepare to be in the best position to meet the ammonia levels. We did our best. You could tell there were 300 to 400,000 people in town. You know, when you're squeezing that many into less than a 5 square mile area, in one day especially, things get a little tough. We did our best. We didn't quite make it on the limits, but we were barely over. So this is the first time since 2012 that we weren't able to meet it. And I give you an example. I mean, I can't imagine that being an issue, but our limit, our monthly limit for ammonia is 1.5, and we were 1.57. And our weekly limit is 2.3, and our maximum was 2.4. So you can see how close we were. I can't imagine it being an issue, but an exceedance is an exceedance. So we did what we could. And the flows, of course, are an issue. I think that's it. Finally, I just want to commend public safety, of course, for all their efforts they do in May. But your Public Works Department is in the same boat, and I want to acknowledge the efforts of all of our Public Works employees. In May, May creates some unique challenges that you don't see anywhere else. You don't see a town of 12,000 having 400,000 at one time. I think it was mentioned we would be the second largest city in Indiana, but I did read a thing where we were like the 52nd largest city in the country on that one day. So it presents some unique challenges, but Street Department, they made the town look good. They kept everything flowing. Handling traffic, the Water Department met the water demand, not only for personal use, but for fire protection. They have to keep that pressure up in the water volume for fire protection. And then, of course, at the wastewater, handling that huge volume of flow and everything, in order to try to meet our environmental obligations. I just want to commend all of the Public Works employees. They did a great job. And that's it.
Any questions?
I just want to commend you on condensing a 30-minute presentation to about 10, Norm.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Nicely done.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Norm. Good man. And last but not least this time, Tammy Smith, Parks and Recreation.
Good evening. Our summer camps are underway. They started last week. Everything went smoothly. I think all the kids enjoyed themselves. We didn't have any delays or cancellations last week, but we start off today with them due to the rain, unfortunately. So I do want to take that time to remind everybody to check the Speedway Parks and Recreation Facebook page. If there's any cancellations or changes, they'll be posted there, as well as Michelle was wonderful enough to do a push notification on the town app today to notify people of the cancellations. Swim lessons are going on. They started last week as well. They continue this week and next week. I'm hearing great feedback with the instructor that we have this year, which happens to be the head coach of the high school and junior high team, and she's doing phenomenal. I'm hearing a lot of kids who've gone through the program last year in the very first day making big strides that they didn't do before. So I'm excited about that. Summer concerts kicked off last Thursday with The Do, and I heard from multiple people that it was the largest crowd they had ever seen. I tried to count, and I got close to the 400 mark, so I thought that was pretty amazing. And Lions Club provided hamburgers and hot dogs to people in attendance, and that was well received. This week, our concert is going to follow a Flag Day ceremony that's going to start at 6 o'clock. And it's also going to be like a military appreciation day. We've got some veteran service organizations that'll be on hand to answer any questions that anyone might have or give out information. It's actually a combination band, patchwork string band with two stand-up comedians, Rick Garrett comedy and Dave the King Wilson. So it'll be a combination music/comedy show. So we're excited to see how that goes over. And then next week, the concert is Big Roscoe and the Hammers, followed by 45 RPM the week after that. And then July 12th is the Tomcats, and July 26th is My Yellow Rickshaw, and that'll finish off the series. And if everything goes well with some other sponsorship opportunities, I'm hoping to add a movie in the park by the end of the summer. So, but that's not confirmed yet. So,
Star Wars?
Well, we'll see.
If you sponsor it.
Yeah, it sounds like you want to sponsor it, Gary. Any other questions, comments?
Thank you.
Thanks, Tammy. Next up, report from Town Manager Jacob Blaisdell.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. And just real quick, good work, Tammy, on getting that summer concert series together. It is a lot of work getting the bands coordinated, working around their schedules, getting the sponsorship together. It's no small feat, and you jumped right into it when you got on board. It's something that I know a lot of residents really enjoy doing. It's something that brings the community together, so appreciate you getting on top of that. Good work on that. Few comments. The Aging in Place grant that we were awarded quite some time ago is finally in the implementation phase. So ARA has been reaching out to the people whose projects qualify, and they're going to do the initial review and a kind of assessment of what needs to be done. I understand that a few people have gotten the call, and because it's been so long since they applied for those funds, they thought it sounded kind of like a scam, and it probably does sound like a scam if somebody calls you and says, hey, I've got some free money, I just need to get into your house and look at everything. You're right for some red flags to go up, and we've gotten some calls. So the company that's working on this is ARA. They're based in Columbus, Indiana, and that is real. However, if somebody else calls saying that they need to get in your house and they're not ARA, and then they're not associated with the town, and you should call us immediately. But if it's ARA, they're legit. Yeah, we hope your project is a good one. One more note on just want to say on the Meadowood Park water tower, that project is underway. It is kind of annoying. It's kind of a nuisance. They've got to take the paint down. They've got to do a lot of work. There's nothing bad or dangerous in anything that they're doing. It's not going to adversely affect anybody in the area. It is more of a nuisance, but just appreciate everyone's patience. As Norm said during his report, that project will go out through August. It's not quite like painting your wall or anything. There's a lot involved in the process, and of course they're also making repairs. So just appreciate everyone's patience as we work through that. And then last but not least, I'll echo what some others have said, which was appreciation for a great May. Employees, everybody, public safety, of course, and public works, everybody did a great job, but also residents. We appreciate your help through the month. It's just kind of one of those months where we need everybody to kind of get on board and rally together. It's not the time to pick a fight with your neighbor. It's not the time to stop mowing your yard. I mean, we need kind of everybody to get on board, and it really felt like this year we had that everybody was in lockstep in cooperation. And I think as Chief Campbell mentioned, it kind of, for the employees as well, like you kind of get to the end of the month of May and it's already been a month, and it's like, man, we need to finish strong. And we've got all these visitors and they've been in for the whole month, but it was great. It was a great month. So again, thank you everybody for your help and cooperation through the month. That's all I have.
Excellent. Thank you. Report from our town attorney, Bob Clutter.
I have no report tonight.
Nothing.
Nothing at all.
Okay.
Sorry to disappoint you.
No charge.
No charge. Thank
No
you.
charge. I didn't say that.
It's in the minutes.
It's in the minutes, yeah. Too late now.
Put it in there.
Item number 12, report from council members. First up, Eileen Fisher.
I would too just like to echo Jacob's thanks to all of our town employees who work extremely hard during the month of May. I know public safety is out front, but we also have the others behind the scenes with water and sewer. And you can just tell that, you hear Norm up here, all of you guys are so passionate about your jobs. There's not a town I don't know of that is like that. And you guys work really hard just one day, but you're working the entire month that way. So thank you for all of your efforts. And then congratulations to those Lady Plugs. That was a great game on Saturday. I was one of those that that was my first game that I went to. And you know what? It was really great to see how well they represented our town. Yeah. And then they come in here this evening and they're dressed up and they just really represent our town so well. So, congratulations, hats off to them. And, I know this is just the beginning for them, so good for them. And thank you to the parents, the teachers, the mentors, the coaches, because they're there because of that and the support that they've gotten from them. So good job, ladies. That's it.
Excellent. Very well said. Next up, Jason Delisle.
I've got two things. It's probably going to sound very similar to what you had, Eileen, but I did want to thank police, fire, water, stormwater, everybody for the month of May. I know there was a lot of planning. Redevelopment Commission too. But I know there was a lot of planning and everything that went on before and during that month. So just really appreciate all of that. And also want to congratulate the softball team. It was fun watching them play. You could just see how much fun that they had. I have two young girls who play softball, and we just talked about the game the whole ride home. They're inspired by the high school girls, and it was great day. That's all I had.
Thank you, Jason. Next up, Councilor Gary Rakes.
Yeah, ditto doesn't seem nearly appropriate, so I'll instead of repeating all that, I'll tell a story. I think it was Saturday after the Rockin' on Main event. I was in my car driving on Main Street early in the morning, probably 7:30, and our yard waste truck, which is normally just for yard waste, I believe they were using it that day for picking up trash bags that were in the proper containers and so forth from that night. And one of our one of the guys that was working the back of the truck had a bag, he was ready to hoist it into the back of the truck, and the bag broke. Let's see, it's a day before the race, and by this point, I know our whole staff is just exhausted and frustrated. And if it were me, I'd have been kicking and spitting and cussing, and this person just simply went about grabbing bottles and trash and everything else, got them out of the oncoming the lane coming for ongoing traffic, put them in the truck. I literally was kind of stopped because of some other, and no complaints, no nothing, was just doing his job. And I see that all month long, but at the end of the month, I'm ready to strangle people if I'm in their shoes. So I just think that's a good example of what a great staff we have, going all the way from one end to the other in terms of what we do, including permitting, including other things as well. So thank you for that. I'll shift to Relay for Life. Relay for Life was Saturday. Softball impacted that because a lot of folks that would have been there went up to Lafayette. More importantly, weather impacted Relay for Life. In fact, they weren't able to have the closing ceremonies midday. Pretty big storm came through. There was a little bit of a storm in Lafayette. I don't think it was as big as the one we had here in Speedway, but a lot of us didn't know that. So they moved Relay into St. Christopher's Gym, which was great for them to show the partnership. And the last thing they had that evening was Luminary, which is part of the relay. But they're going to, they haven't determined a date. Jennifer White sent out an email today to those that were part of it, that they're going to have a closing ceremony. There's still time to commit to your donations and other things. And I think they really need that because just the weather and the size of the crowd and some other things really played a negative on that. So I'm making a point of saying those of us who have been impacted by cancer, and I don't know if there is anybody out there who hasn't, seriously consider what you might do, because this group not only raises monies to research for cures and other things that can be done about cancer, but also how to treat people and their families during those awful times. So that's that. And then I was going to say the same thing about just the behavior of the kids and the adults, the parents. It was great to see everybody come together in the softball area. And there was one thing I was going to say, and I don't know what it was.
He's going to interrupt me when I'm talking.
I guess I'm just proud of the girls and proud of our community. That was, for me, the real kicker, is that so many people were there at different phases of it. Those that couldn't make it to state were at Semi-State, drove nearly 3 hours to southern Indiana to go to that. It was just a great community thing. And I'm proud of the girls. I'm proud of our school system. I'm just proud of how the community handled it. So thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Next up, Vice President David Lindsay.
If you think about it, seriously. Okay. Thank all the town employees. I know we've repeated that, but I was out at 11:30 that race night, and the crews are out picking up then. That's incredible to make the town shine the next day. You can't even tell there's a race here. So thank you for all that. And again, thank the fire department, the police department for the escorts for the softball team. The girls were amazed. I thought they were tired until they saw the police cars on the way back after the first sectional win, and it just kept going. And then I learned that social media can be a good thing. The word got out that the team was going to come back and go down Lyndhurst on the fire truck, and the town came out for that. That was incredible. The response and just the people that showed up for that was amazing. And then congratulations to the team, the way they represented the town, the sportsmanship that they showed throughout the entire season, not just during the tournament. They did it from game one, back when we were out watching them, and it was 30 degrees to 90 degrees on state championship day. It was great. That's all I have.
Okay. You know, we've heard so many great stories based on great events and great people. So thank you for town employees. Thank you for the parents that took care of these kids to get them to state. It was a great experience. So let's just keep doing what we're doing. And on that note, at 7:54, we'll call this meeting adjourned.